Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the CCW podcast. I'm your host, Kaiser Castro, and I'm here with,
Sergeant Joe Bermudez.
once again, a returning guest. This will be your third time on the podcast now.
3 times a charm, huh?
3 times a charm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate you having me back here. I love it. I love the opportunity to be able to share some information and educate the public.
Okay, so what do you hear first today? What do you have for us today?
Well, you know what? Today we're here to talk about tax time. Our favorite time of the year, right? Well, we get to give Uncle Sam back some of his money, huh?
Yeah.
Or hopefully we can get some of ours back, right?
Of course. That's the goal, right? To get them squeeze as much as we can out of tax season.
Let's get our fair share back. Let's just say that, right?
Pretty much.
You know, we got to do the right thing.
So tax fraud, right? It's one of the biggest fears that most people, understandably so, have these days, especially with the age that we live in and how relevant the internet is and whatnot. So what I guess let's start with the basics. What kind of tax fraud should people be looking out for when it comes to these things?
Yeah, just to reiterate what you first said, yeah, it is something to be concerned about, especially with the times on how technology really has grown over the years, and we seem to. I like to always tell people when I teach, I say, our technology is our friend, it's also our enemy.
Yeah,
you got to be careful. It's like a double-edged sword, but. We got to look and really focus because it is a trend that is growing. Just as an example to give you, just this past year, I just happened to run the report recently. It just came out. Every year around this time, they put out
the
FTC. Yeah, the FTC puts out a report, their Sentinel report, which is kind of their consumer network reporting.
Yeah,
and back in 2020, they had over 4.7 million reported cases of identity theft and fraud.
That's a lot.
In 1 year. And you're talking even an increase from 2019, where it was about 3.2 million. So you're talking almost, another 1.5 million cases in a year of increase in fraud.
That's insane.
It's insane.
So correct me if I'm wrong. That's that's about as many people that live in Miami-Dade County.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We're talking about Miami-Dade County. It was about 2.8 million, and probably when the new census comes out, it's going to be well over 3 million. So if you think about it, yeah, it's all of Dade County being defrauded.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's insane
crazy
to think about.
And when you look at the statistics, we've seen that out of that number, about 406,000 of them were related to what they call government benefits, tax type frauds, just in that 1 year. And when they did the analysis, it actually grew over the 1 year 3,000% from the year before.
Really?
And it's just because it's becoming easier and easier to figure out ways to defraud the system.
To kind of to continue with that point, since we're on it now, why do you think that is specifically? Like why is it that you think it's easier for people to get caught in this cycle?
Well, I think with the times, people are becoming more educated on using computer systems. So you have a whole new group of people that are now relying on computers. A lot of the tax filings nowadays are automated. They're done online. Very far and few between. You have, you just have the old folks that are hardcore and say, no, I'm going to print out my return every year. I'm going to sign it. I'm going to put a stamp on it. I'm going to send it in. Yeah. So that percentage
that's how I was taught.
the percentage of individuals doing that is dwindling. Yeah. And more nowadays, people are doing the e-filing. So with the increase in e-filing, now there's a bigger opportunity for fraud or some kind of, say hocus pocus, going on. But that's happening. And just like I said, it's the availability when it comes to technology out there.
That comfort that comes with being able to do something in a much because it really is a lot faster and a lot more.
Well, and it's exactly. And there's also, you got to look into the factor, when we talk about internet crimes and stuff like that, is the anonymity. It's easy to hide behind a computer screen.
It is
It's
very
not,
easy.
I'm not the bad guy that's walking in to rob a store, to hold up a liquor store or commit a crime face to face. When we talk about crimes to victims, I'm not coming in putting a gun to your face. Now I'm just going on a computer, putting in, typing a few little different numbers here and there, and I'm stealing your money that way.
That's it.
So it's a lot easier with the anonymity factor in there.
Wow, it's insane to think about, but it's so prevalent in today's world.
It is. It's growing and growing, and we're really going to have to start pivoting, and we have somewhat, but we're really going to have to change our focus and really dive into this new type of technology crimes. And our department is making efforts. We're starting new squads all the time and new investigative units to deal with cyber-based crimes and stuff like that. So
going off of that, then what are the types that people should be the most aware of?
So tax time. The two things that you really want to be aware of, or the two concerns that we tell folks when it comes to tax fraud, is the actual identity theft part of it, where your identity is stolen and someone actually files a fraudulent tax return on you. At that point, it's using information, what we call your PII, personal identifying information.
Okay.
So that's one of the ways that you got to deal with. And the other one that we'll talk about too is after the fact, what we call the phishing part of it, and that's phishing with a PH. So the phishing part of it, where through fraudulent websites, fraudulent emails, fraudulent phone calls, things of that nature. So you have to be very careful, because those are the two ways that they're pretty much dealing with tax fraud nowadays. The first one we talked about, like I said, that's where someone obtains your information. Most of the times it's your name, date of birth, social security number, and they go ahead and file that fraudulent return. Once they file their fraudulent return, it goes into one of two ways. They'll either establish a temporary bank account that it can be deposited into, and a lot of times that's because they've already established themselves as you. They have a setup, so they've stolen your identity. Or the other matter, what they're doing, which is horrible, because from an investigative standpoint, it's very, very difficult. Once the money's in there, it's hard to trace. Is when they have the funds deposited into the prepaid credit cards, because that was an option you can do. When they put them into those prepaid cards, the tracking on that is very, very difficult.
At that point, it's almost pretty much theirs.
Yeah, it's pretty much gone. So, and by the time they spend it and get to it, and we do any type of investigative work on it, it's very hard to track it down. So those are pretty much the two ways that we see them filing the.
So of the two, which do you think? I guess, well, to keep it simple, which do you think should people be more? I mean, obviously they're both very important, but which one is more common, would you say? Or which one is probably going to impact the most people easily?
Obviously, the one that's going to impact you the most right from the start is when they do the false or fraudulent tax return. Because now what's happening is they delay your process. What happens is, the way the IRS will look at it is, they will take the first tax return that's processed.
Gotcha.
So once that tax return is in and it's been paid out, or the money's been returned, if you get money back, now when you go in as the real person and file your tax return, and there's a discrepancy, you get that alert back that tax return already has been filed. Now what happens is everything is delayed. So you're looking at, instead of maybe what now the norm is about 10 days, I guess, more or less. Yeah, because I just got my tax return back. So it was about 10 days for me to get it direct deposited back. So now you're looking at a 10-day return. Can take almost a year before you clear it up, because the IRS will go through the process before they pay you what's due to you, to make sure that the first one was fraudulent and not the second. So
and that's not even considering the idea of somebody else taking your identity.
That's a whole nother thing. We can dive into that in a couple, but just the fact that that's going to be pretty much your hard hitting one, because right then and there you're out the money. The latter, the phishing, again, you could be out some money if you fall into their trap, or you could be facilitating further identity theft down the line. But I would say that the first one is more or less
more impactful.
More impactful.
So because and the reason I bring that up is because I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong here, it's very common for people to fall victim to the second one because of how easy a lot of people don't understand like things that the fact that the IRS will not email you, they will not call you, things like that. But when if somebody's like trying to be like, hey, like we can help you out with your taxes, or we can do this, we can do that, people are like, oh well, okay, why not?
Yeah, for sure. And I want to say the latter, where we talk about the phishing, like you mentioned, that people are a little more gullible when it comes to it because they don't really know the procedures per se. And then I always joke with people with, when you start messing with somebody's money and start telling them, hey, we're going to hold up giving you back your money, people will give up their firstborn.
Yeah.
Just, no, wait. You're going to hold on my taxes?
Yeah.
No, wait, here, take my child and just give me my tax return. But so people will fall very easily. And just also the ways that they're doing it, people become fearful. When they get threatened, and some of the ways that they do these with sending threatening emails that warrants are issued for your arrest. They'll call and leave you voicemails saying, this is your last opportunity. If you don't call us back to give us your information, then, or to settle this account, we will be sending police to your house, or we will be, again, issuing warrants for your arrest. So people become fearful and they get desperate, and they don't think about what they're doing, and they fall into the trap of providing information that they shouldn't be providing on these emails and these phone calls.
I'd imagine even like somebody who's older, right? Who is part of the older demographic, who isn't really necessarily used to doing their taxes through electronically, and having these people threaten them with things, or even somebody from another country, right? My stepfather, he came in only when, I think he moved here when he was about like 25, right? He's obviously a citizen, a resident, but he, as a person from another country, he doesn't completely understand the aspect of doing your taxes through like some sort of firm or another person. So having somebody threaten you in that way can be daunting, because you're not even from this country to understand, hey, this is actually how it works, right?
People don't realize it. So, I mean, I actually, I brought us a recording here today for us to listen to. Yeah. And where it's funny, just to give you a little setup to this, people think, oh, this is a fake recording. Well, yeah, it is a fake recording because it is a phishing voicemail. But I'll tell you, this voicemail was on my home recording. So I myself get, and I get the emails as well. But I got home, and when I played my voicemail, this is what I listened to.
Yeah. Wow.
So let's go ahead and play that for him and give him a sample of what to listen for.
So really quick, we're just going to pause the podcast very quickly.
3:03 p.m.
This call is officially in final notice from IRS, Internal Revenue Service. The reason of this call is to inform you that IRS is filing a lawsuit against you. To get more information about this case file, please call immediately on our department number, 206-462-5210. I repeat the number, 206-462-5210. Thank you.
So, as you heard there, I mean, if you're a person who doesn't know any better, maybe even a younger person, this is your first time filing taxes, or you're an elderly person who doesn't really understand the process, you hear a voice recording like that, you're going to be scared, and you're going to call back. And what happens? So what happens here is with the voicemails where they provide you with a number, you're going to call back, and when they call back, they're going to ask you for what they call your personal information, so we can verify your identity.
Yeah.
Okay. They want to verify that they're talking to the right person. But what are they doing?
They're taking your info.
It's
you handing it to them.
You're handling to them. You're better off. You're better off going to say, here's my world. But that's what they do. They get on there and go, okay, what is your name? And they'll ask you for the information. They'll say, okay, well, I have your social security number here. Could you please read it back to me so I can verify it? And then you're gladly giving them your social security number.
Yeah.
You're gladly giving them your date of birth. You're gladly giving them any passwords, anything like that. And you're giving up this information because you're fearful of legal action.
Yeah.
The
potential repercussions.
Exactly. The repercussions of something going on or something happening because you didn't do the right thing. This happens a lot of times with not just the phone calls, with emails. You get emails sent, and when you click on a link, you think you're clicking on a proper IRS link, and it's taking you to what we call a phishing website, which is they've created a website that mirrors to every little graphic that if you went to the regular website, it would be the same. But what you're doing is you're going to one of the servers for the bad guys, and you're entering all your information again.
Just like that.
Yeah, so
it's crazy how the steps that they take to be this deceiving. But I mean, like the statistics show, that's 4.7 million people that have been affected by these kind of things. Yeah. It's nothing to play around with, you know.
It's not. Well, you know, and I also call it. I think when I talk to folks about this, I call it the shotgun effect. You know. Not to talk a little guns here, but you know, when you shoot with a shotgun, you have a bunch of pellets that come flying out. So the chances of hitting something are greater. Yeah. So the same ideas with the emails and the voicemails and stuff. They do the shotgun effect. They'll send the voicemail out, and a lot of these are automated systems. So it's a computer that's just randomly dialing a bunch of numbers, randomly sending to a bunch of different emails. So they're blasting it out. And if they send out 1,000 emails an hour, which it's going to be a lot faster than that, but for layman's sake, let's just say 1,000 emails an hour, and you get just 10% of that. Think about it. 100 people are going to call you back and give you their personal information.
And it's you don't lose anything because it's essentially free money for them.
Exactly.
They're stealing. They don't lose anything. It's an easy
fine for them, you know? Yeah. And like I said, they're doing this behind this wall of anonymity where they're setting up these sites, and they're able, you know, not to get too technical, but, you know, you can spoof sites, you can spoof numbers, which means you can hide it. You can make it look, you know, nowadays they have devices, they have apps. That you can download the app.
I know they had apps.
and I could call you and make it look like the call's coming from the White House, you know, and it's me from my cell phone in the room next door. So they're able to use all these apps and use all these systems to fool the average person. The person who doesn't. I don't want to say average. It's just the person doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
You know, because like I said, most of the generation, you know, there was a generation that just did everything by let's fill it out by hand. Send it in and get wait for our return to come back.
Yeah, it's now not their fault for not knowing.
Now it's a quicker world. So now the e-filing is a lot faster, you know, and there's, like I said, there's more opportunity for those crimes to occur.
So then with all that being said, what are the proper steps that a person could take to make sure that they are safer, to make sure that they can stay away from these kind of issues?
Okay, so when it comes to the first type, where we talk about the fraudulent tax returns, the most important thing there is you want to stay with, do one of two things. Either file your taxes yourself. There's numerous programs out there that you can do for e-filing where you do it yourself at home. And when you do it, make sure that you do it on your computer system, that you have proper software so that you don't have viruses and firewalls and all that stuff. So they're not able to hack your computer system and get that information. So you do that, do it on your own. And if not, if you don't feel comfortable enough or knowledgeable enough to file your own taxes and go through the process, go with a reputable accountant. You know, there's numerous companies out there that have been around for a long time that will file your taxes for you, as well as get recommendations. Talk to people and, you know, get a few, hey, who do you use for your taxes? You know, how long, and ask the questions. How long have you been doing your taxes with this person? Yeah. You know, have they, you know, you know them? Do you trust them? And stuff like that. And work, you know, get those recommendations. Stay away from fly-by-night tax attorney, you know, where, you know, tax season just started and next to Dunkin' Donuts, now you have a tax guy doing taxes for the next 2 months. And not to knock him, because he may be a legitimate person, but there is an opportunity. There is a chance that, you know, they just pop up, and what they're there is
just to take advantage.
They're there just to gather your information. You know, stay away from these people that are like, I'll get you all your money back. You won't pay any taxes at all. Come on, realistically, we don't live in that world.
We don't.
So if you're going to go to that person to begin with, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
So stick with reputable people, stick with people that are recommended, and just stay away from these fly-by-night individuals. Try to stay with the same accountant. I tell folks, try not to jump, every year you're using a different accountant. Because think about it. Now, if every year you're going to a different accountant, now that's a different person that you're giving, you say, hey, here's all my information. Here's where I work. Here's where I live. Here's my social. Here's all my PII. And what's that person going to do with it? They're going to store it, keep files, and who knows?
You never know.
So you want to stay with companies, the ones that are bonded, insured, and stuff like that. As far as the phishing, just be wary of what information you get. Listen, the IRS will never call you to say...
These are important.
These are important.
These are important.
The IRS will not call you, especially from an automated robot line or something like that. They're not going to send you emails. They're not gonna send you correspondence in ratty old envelopes or with misspellings or with numbers that don't make sense or email addresses that don't make sense. If the IRS is going to contact you because there's a problem with your return, it's going to be through registered mail. They're going to send you something in registered mail, or that guy's going to come knocking at your door with proper credentials to say, I'm from the IRS. We need to talk. And if that's happening, there may be greater issues there. But that's how they're going to reach out to you. They're never going to call you. They're never going to say, "Hey, leave your message, call us back, and give you a number." So be wary on that stuff. Be wary on the links that you click on. You never want to click on a link that's going to take you somewhere else where you don't know. Your best bet is if you do get an email that there's a problem with your return, or you get a voicemail that there's a problem with your return, don't call the number that they left on the voicemail. Don't call the number that's on the email. You go online, okay? You go to irs.gov.
.gov.
Right, folks? Gov.
That's important.
That's important because everybody gets in the habit of just doing .com, everything, and it's not. irs.com is fake. irs.net is fake. irs.live is fake. All these categories are all fake. You want to go. The government sites are .govs.
Yes.
So you want to go to irs.gov and you want to pull the hotline numbers on there, the consumer services number on there, the investigative services, whatever you're looking for. They also have the sites where you can send an email to the actual IRS for them to contact you back, and it'll be all legitimate transactions going back and forth. So you want to do that. Like I said, you don't want to click on that. Another resource you can go to is ftc.gov. It's the Federal Trade Commission. They regulate a lot when it comes to, we talked about earlier, identity theft, fraud. Yeah. So they're the ones that will go ahead and give you a lot of resources and information. So you want to go, those are your two major avenues that you want to deal with. If you are a victim, if you feel that you're a victim, you want to contact the IRS, get the investigation started, contact the FTC, file a consumer report with them to get the investigation started and get the ball rolling for someone to look into it. But what you need to do is you need to generate it. Don't go off of that's the most important thing, or the most important tip. You don't want to be the one to click on what they send you or call the numbers they send you, because those are the fraudulent lines.
You need to take the initiative yourself with the proper information.
Correct.
And the proper resources. So I have one more thing I wanted to touch on really quick. How about, and one thing that's prevalent to that I've been told about is the idea of parents checking their children's Social Security and making sure that their children are safe because they are potential victims to this, right?
Yeah.
So how does that work?
That's an excellent question. Listen, one of the other things, and just real quick to touch upon, if you become a victim of identity of the fraudulent tax returns, it opens up a whole new world, or a whole new can of worms, if you want to say, to problems that you can have.
Yes.
So one of the things that you want to do is, if you feel that you become a victim, if you feel there's a fraudulent return filed, you want to start investigating other aspects of your life when it comes to your credit, your Social Security number, stuff like that. So through the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, you can go through there, and what you need to do is pull a copy of each credit report from the 3 bureaus. We have 3 bureaus that monitor credit reports. Equifax. Oh my gosh, I just blanked out.
It's fine. You're good.
TransUnion, Equifax, and wow, I'm bad.
No, you're good. Bad. The only one I've ever heard of was Equifax. So
yeah, Equifax.
That's probably what I would think that's the most common, but
so there's the three, and you can pull a report for each one and monitor and see what's on there.
Which, by the way, all this information will be linked below for anybody who's interested. Nobody's going to be left hanging. This is all super important, especially now since it is the height of tax season. So for anybody.
Experian. See, I told you.
Experian.
There you go. Thank you. It was a senior moment. Okay. So you have Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. So you're gonna have those three. You want to pull reports from them. You want to monitor. You have a couple options as well. You can put what they call a credit alert on your credit on the three different credit reporting agencies. Mm-hmm. And what that'll do is as a creditor, if somebody tries to get credit using your information, they'll have to just go through a couple extra steps to verify that it's you.
Yeah.
If you really been a victim and you think that it's a serious incident where somebody really is out there stealing your identity, you can put what's called a credit freeze on it.
Yeah.
And that just allows no one to apply for credit using your information. So you want to put that freeze on there. Now, so transitioning to what the question you asked as far as kids. Times are different now. Going back to many moons when I was younger, I didn't get my social security number until I was about 14, 15 years old when I went to apply for my first job.
Yeah.
Because at that time, you didn't need it. You didn't need social security numbers for anything like we do now. Yeah. Nowadays, when you file taxes, you need social security numbers for your children to get that tax credit for your children. So what happens nowadays is once you have a child, one of the immediate forms that you fill out, give them his name and they do all the information. One of the forms that's done quickly is applying for a social security number. So a social security number is issued right when they're born.
Which I didn't know this, by the way, about not getting it. I just assumed, obviously I'm a lot younger, but I just assumed that it was something always done from the jump by birth.
Right. So what happens is now you have this this social security number that's generated at birth, and it's pretty much not used other than for filing for the exemptions. You really don't use it for anything else. You don't use it for any credit type basis until that child is probably about 18 when they start applying for their own credit cards, 18, 19 years old. So what happens is now you have that 15 to 18-year-old gap, 15, 18 years,
just
where that number is just dormant.
Yeah.
So if someone gets a hold of that number, they're able to assume that identity. And we've had issues where a child is 18 years old, goes to apply for a credit card, is turned down and denied. And why am I denied? Oh, it's because you're $500,000 in debt. And you're like, what? And for the last 18 years, this person's been using their social security number to apply for things. So one of the things we always tell parents is when you have a child, at least a couple years after the child is born, you want to be able, as a parent, you're able to pull those credit reports for your children. You're able to look, monitor, make sure that little Johnny that's 2 years old doesn't have an American Express card, and it's sad if he's got a higher limit than you do. So
how do you do that?
Yeah, exactly. But you want to check, make sure he doesn't have any credit accounts or anything under his social security number. And then you as a parent also have the ability to freeze that account. So you can freeze that account until he's of age where you unfreeze it. And now that's something you're going to do because now he's going to be using it to, get a job, apply for credit, student loans, whatever it is that they're going to be doing at that age, that 16, 17, 18-year-old age.
Really
but
quickly.
You're freezing it for those years.
How does the freeze actually work for those who don't know? Like, is it something that is it a predetermined time that you set as the person with the information?
As the parent, when you set it, when you contact the each one of the credit bureaus, and you tell them that I'm the parent or guardian of such and such child and this social security number, and I want to place a freeze on it. It's like a $5 fee that they charge you, like an administrative fee that they charge you. And it basically freezes that number. And what happens is if anybody tries to use that number to apply for credit, a loan, a credit card, or something of that nature, it gets denied.
Okay.
It's kind of like bad credit. you don't get it. And then you can set it up to get an alert. If you want to get an alert, hey, somebody tried to use this credit card or this social security number to apply for a credit card. And then that freeze is applied and it is not lifted until you, the parent, contacts them back and says, all right, go ahead and unfreeze this. My child is, 18 years old. He's going to be using it. So you can go ahead and unfreeze it.
Which means there's no excuse. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no excuse. It's just $5.
It's $5. Think about it. It's cost of a coffee nowadays. So
exactly.
For a little peace of mind. But so that freeze is placed. And then you also, we talked about, you can do that as an adult as well. Yes. If you feel that you're a victim and somebody has stolen your PII, you can contact each one of the credit bureaus and go ahead and say, hey, listen, I want to freeze until I resolve this. I want to freeze my social security number, and I don't want anybody to use it to apply for credit. So just remember you did that, because you don't want to be embarrassed when you go to the department store and you go apply for a credit card and they deny you and you're like, oh, what happened?
What the heck?
So what the heck? I got good credit. Yeah, you got good credit, but you just froze it. So. Okay.
Well, let's see. I think that's most of everything we wanted to touch on.
Yeah, that's about a lot of the stuff that we discussed. Can be found. I get like on the resources that I told you about. IRS.gov has a great website. You can go on there and you can type in, as a search bar, you can type in whatever questions you have. And like I said, an amazing resource that I use it all the time for teaching and even to educate myself.
Yes.
Is the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. They're very, very involved when it comes to identity theft and consumer protection. So go to their website and you can go ahead and research there. I tell folks, if you want to read, it's a pretty big book, but you can learn all about it. It's about 500 pages, so if you have trouble sleeping, you can read it at night. The Sentinel report, they put it out every year. They usually put it out about late February, beginning of March. They'll put it out for the last year, and that'll give you all the statistics, the reports. I mean, they break it down to all different types of items, why, who, what, when, where, ages and stuff like that. So there's a lot of information in there and a lot of resources.
And it never goes away. It's something that you'll always be able to use, right?
Yeah.
It's something that you can,
and they
update
it every year, so you're able to look at it. So, there's a lot of stuff. And then I brought a video here for us to watch, and I think we'll close out with that for you guys to watch with a little information from the IRS, and it'll kind of reiterates and touches about on a lot of the points that we discussed here today. So just remember to be safe, protect your information, don't share anything with anybody. Remember, they're never going to call you and ask you for secret passwords or PIN numbers or anything like that. And when in doubt, just call and ask for help and reach out and before you give out your information.
And with that, I want to thank everybody for watching and listening. For those who are listening, this has been the CCW podcast. Like I said, everyone, all information will be linked below. Anything that you may need, any questions that you have, any discussions that you want to have, leave it in the comments below. We do read those. We want the interaction. We want to keep everybody informed, right? So with that, that's it. Thank you, Joe, for coming on once again.
No, my pleasure. And if you do have a question, please, I do follow it. I do follow the podcast as well. And if you post questions on there, I will jump on there and answer them for you. So give you my information. We can put my number as well. I know I've shared it on previous podcasts, but we'll put it on the info and the links as well. And you can reach out to me and send me an email or call me. And unless you're a bad guy trying to fish for my information, I won't answer you. But if you're a citizen with a question or you got a problem, I'm here to help.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Scam artists are pretending to be IRS officials to get your money. They'll call, email, or text you, claiming you owe back taxes or there's a problem with your tax return. They even rig caller ID to make the call look official. They play on your fears. They threaten to take your driver's license or sue, arrest, or deport you. They want you to pay fast. What's the truth? The truth is, the IRS's first contact with you will always be a letter in the mail. It's not a phone call, email, or text message. They won't insist that you pay with a prepaid debit card, a wire transfer, or cashier's check. Now you know. Has an IRS imposter contacted you? Report it at ftc.gov/imposters.